Good morning, lovelies, and welcome to another video on a Saturday. Except today is not actually Saturday, but if you're watching this on the replay, you wouldn't know that. So let's just say welcome to another Saturday video. For those watching on the live, welcome to Sunday. Yesterday was such a massive day that I did not get a chance to come in and show you this beautiful card and how to create it. So I thought I'd jump in today instead and show you how to make this card. Now, it might look really complicated, but it's actually very simple, which is the purpose of me doing these Saturday videos. Now, what you need with this one is some Kraft cardstock, and I did a call out last week. If anybody wanted some Kraft cardstock, I would send them some out. So, ladies, I do hope that you got your Kraft cardstock. This is Kraft cardstock. It's kind of like recycled paper, okay? It's crafty all the way through. It doesn't have a white core or anything. It's a little bit textured, and it's just a different type of cardstock to work with. So this is what we're working with today. Now, the inks on here are also different to what I'm normally working with. Normally I work with a water-based ink, but today I'll be working with Distress Oxide. Let me pull this down so you can see. So I've chosen 3 colours. Also a shout out to Susan Wilmot, who was the one who demonstrated this particular technique. Thank you very much, Susan. It's been inspiring. So I used these 3. They're the colours that Susan used, and I just went with it because I love blue. If you don't know anything about me, know this one thing: I love blue. You also know I love crafting and teaching and all of that. But anyway, so these are the colours that I decided to stick with. Just in case you can't read them, what they say, this is the Peacock Feathers, Chipped Sapphire and Mermaid Lagoon by Ranger. Beautiful, beautiful colours. Now, I've tried to do some of the prep work before I jumped on. So I'm showing you this stamp set just so that you know this is the stamp set that I used on this card, and I will be using it again. I'll be pretty well replicating this card so you can see what I did. Nothing worse than saying, look at this beautiful card, now I'm going to do a different one. So this is the In Full Bloom scrapbooking stamp, and I've bought it with the thin cuts. You can always just get it with the stamps, save a little bit of money, but I love it. It's great value with all of the flowers and leaves and butterflies. You can thin cut them. You can cut them out with your dies. So that's the stamp and thin cut. I have already actually got them mounted on a block, again, just to save on some time. So you need some craft paper. I've just mounted it directly onto one of our cards and envelopes. Now this card, onto our card now, I know what I'm saying. This card, onto one of our card bases. This card is 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 high. So my piece of craft cardstock, you can see there, is 4 inches wide by 5 1/4. So I've just taken 1/4 inch off the size of the card to give me that little white border. You don't have to do that. You could do it the full size of the card. You could do whatever you want, really. Just sing, I did it my way. Right, now at the moment I have a Versamat underneath me, and this is great for lining things up, turn it over and do stamping, but it's not actually what I want when I'm doing Distress Oxide. So I'm going to pop this out the way because I will be doing stamping in a minute. I'm going to grab my all-purpose mat. Now, the all-purpose mat is a completely different type of thing. This one, nothing sticks to. It's kind of like Teflon. I don't know if it is actually Teflon, but it's kind of like Teflon. So nothing sticks to it. It's great if you're doing, things that you're using your adhesives with, because nothing sticks to it. And it also makes it really good, a good clean surface for when you're doing messy work, which I don't like. There's another thing about me. Gee, you're getting to know me today, aren't you? So let's bring these down. Not you'll be able to see them in a minute because I'm going to take the lids off. I've also got these, and I'm not going to remember what they're called, but they're the tools that you use to do the Distress Oxide inks and the pads. Now, a note about the pads. I like giving you tips. Go for the more expensive ones, okay? The reason for that is because if you buy the cheapy ones, then they're just going to fall apart. Trust me, speaking from not my own experience, but people tell me. So I've already loaded up my pads, and I've loaded up one for each color. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you what I do. I go like this and I take the lids off and I flip them above. And another thing I do is I also have the name on the side. Now this is a brand new one, so I don't have the name on the side, but these two I do. Then I take my little tools and I pop them in the lids. Now you're not going to see that once I move them so I can get into this area. I put them in the lids. It's got ink on it now. And then I can just work like that. So that is what you will not see, but that is how I've got it set up. All right. And there are my 3 colors. So again, I've got peacock feathers, chipped sapphire, and whatever color I said that was. The other thing I've got is white daisy, or a white pigment-based ink. This is not a water-based ink. It is a pigment ink. Obviously, if you had a water-based ink and you stamped white water-based, it's just going to soak into everything. You're not going to see it. Pigment-based inks sit on top of the paper, so you will actually, it will stay there and you will see it. I've struggled a bit. I'm not so good with the pigment ink. Let me show you what I mean on my card. So it kind of goes a bit faded, a little bit faded, but it gives a really nice look. Now, if you don't like that faded look, or if you don't have a white pigment ink, you can always use some Versamark and some like heat embossing, you know, use a white embossing powder and do some heat embossing. So that's another thing that you can do. Okay, let's get started. So you've got your craft paper, hopefully. The other thing you need is a little template. All right, you can, I've done it square, you can cut a circle out, whatever you want, but you just cut a piece of cardstock, the same size. I've done it the same size as my my mat. I've done it the same size so that I can see, you know, that's where it is and it's not shifting. If you did it any bigger, then chances are, you know, if it was bigger and it shifted, you're not going to see it move underneath. So I'm just going to do it like that. The other thing is you can stick it down if you want to. I'm not going to stick it down. I'm just going to have it placed on top like that just to make it difficult for myself. All right. Now, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. I'm kind of watching the comments, though I'm not sure that I will see them. I will come back and answer any questions that you might have. I try and do that, you know, fairly religiously is not the word, but, you know, I try and really keep up with questions. If you've got any comments, feel free to comment. If you've got any tips for me, love to hear them. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay, let me know that you watched. Look, I just put ink on myself. Yeah. All right, so this is how we do it. We're going to start with the darkest color and we're going to go, you can see on my little, maybe I'll flip that over. Okay, I'm going to flip that over so you can't see how I did it. Am I going to remember how I did it? Okay, so we start with the darkest color. This is what we're achieving, yeah? Yeah. And I've got that to the side so I can see it. Let me put it there so you can see it too. Darkest color. And we're just going to pounce. I heard that as a new word the other day. We're going to pounce our blending tool onto there and then just going to drop it down and wipe it up into the corner like so. All right, and we get a little bit of ink on there. You can add some more if you like. And then I'm going to pounce a bit more. I like that word, pounce. And I'm going to take it down into this corner. Now this template here you can use multiple times. You can pretty well use it until it dies. So we're just doing a little bit and then maybe go round and round in a circle just to get that on good and proper. Then we're going to, I'm going to move on to this one now. I'm not going to remember the name. This one's the Mermaid Lagoon. Okay, remember mermaid, swimming in the ocean, lagoon. And we're pouncing again. And this one I'm going to do from roughly from this corner down to just before this corner. So I'm going to squatcher it up there. That's a technical term, squatcher. And then come down. I'm going to go over the top a little bit of the chipped sapphire. I've got to put a sticker on that Mermaid Lagoon. It's so handy having the sticker on because I can just say the colour and you think that I remember what the colour is and I really don't. So we're coming down like so, and then I'm just going to move my fingers to hold this part. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with the peacock feathers. So as I mentioned before, you really can use any colours on this. Whatever colours you like. You could even do 4 different colours if you wanted to, 3, you could do 2 colours, just whatever. But it's just a very different effect on Kraft cardstock compared to white cardstock or some other colour, which is just a fun thing to experience and experiment with. So again, I'm just going to blend this round and round like so, up into that corner. And these two have blended really nicely. They haven't really blended into the chipped sapphire, into that dark blue. So I'm going to go over the chipped sapphire a little bit with this one. Then I'm going to get my chipped sapphire blending tool and just come out a little bit with chipped sapphire on that side and this side. And there we go. I think that looks okay. And when we take this off, ta-da, doesn't that look fantastic? I think it looks amazing. So that's it's more or less just masking, but it just looks so good. And then you don't need any layers or anything. It's just bang, straight on there. So I'm just going to move these up out of the way for myself. Next, what I want to do is do some stamping. So as I said, I'm going to use this white pigment ink, and I really want a squishy underneath me. Now, rather than I will move everything. Okay, I'm just going to move everything out the way. This is going to go smack bang down on top of my all-purpose mat. So this is the back of my Versamat, and it's squishy. You can also use the little piece of foam that's on the inside of your stamp set. So close to my heart, have a little bit of foam. You can use that. I love this big area to work on. Now, grab my stamps. So I've got this one that says Live Life in Full Bloom, which is the same as the bottom of that one. And then I've got this gorgeous flower. I love this flower. I think it's a poppy. I'm pretty sure it's a poppy. All right. So open up my white daisy, and I'm going to work top to bottom, because if I do something on the bottom and then I go to stamp the top, my hand may squish into it. The other thing that I find is, and we'll see if this does hold true, I have never really been able to work straight. When I'm writing, I always have my things on an angle. So I'm actually going to put things on an angle for the moment and work like that. So this ink is really sticky and juicy and meh. The other thing with pigment-based inks is that they don't come off like regular water-based inks. No, I'm going to put that straight. Okay. So with regular water-based inks, you can just use a stamp chamois. I've got one right here, a stamp chamois, and you can wipe it off and it's all clean and clear. These ones, because of the nature of the ink, being a pigment-based ink, I'm just going to make sure that's got lots on it. I find that I do need to go and actually wash them under some warm water, and I use just a little bit of very mild detergent to clean it as well. So I'm just pressing that down, making sure that the pigment ink does go onto the paper. When I lift that off, isn't that just divine? Now, if I used a different ink, a water-based ink, that's going to soak in, whereas this being a pigment ink, it's going to sit on top, so the white looks stunning. It will dry, but it does take a little bit longer to dry than your regular. And this, I'm not going to use my beautiful new stamp chamois. My stamp chamois, the other ones I'm using, is disgusting, but I'm going to actually open up a stamp chamois soon. So that's that one. Now, you can see, possibly you can see the difference, maybe not on camera, between the wet one and the dry one. When it dries, it does go a little bit opaque, but it's still a beautiful effect. Next, I'm going to stamp that Live Life in Full Bloom down the bottom as my sentiment. Again, get that nice and juicy. Line it up to where I want it to go. Press down. Now, I tend not to press down really hard with any of my stamping, but especially this one, because it is so, can I say slimy without getting in trouble? It could slide and it could squish out and everything, but I do like to leave it on there. And there we go. All right. I'm quite happy with that. So there we go, Live Life in Full Bloom. And it just sits so nicely on top of the craft. It gives a great contrast. We'll put the lid on that so that I don't get it all over myself. All right, and that is it. just once that's dry, as I said, it does take a little bit to dry, mount it on top of your card base, and you've got a beautiful card to send out. So there you go, ladies. I hope that you have learned something. I would love for you to have a go at this technique and see how you go. If you do, post a photo of it. I'll put a post up in the group shortly, but put a photo of it under that post. Every week I run a competition for a giveaway. Now this time, if you do happen to do this, now this is a little bit more work. So if you do this card and you post a photo, because there is so many products in here, I'm going to give you a very special gift. So this week's prize is the stamp chamois. So you really do want to enter this one, all right? I want to see lots of comments showing your picture. What else? Oh, I need to do a prize draw of last week. So last week, what did we do? Oh, last week, I'm going to walk away from the camera for a second. So I'm just going to get a little bit quiet. Last week we did the folded card. So we did this one here and variations of that. I showed you how to do variations of that. I did actually finish my red card, but I'm not going to show it because it's a present for someone. So I've got a gift, a bit of a surprise for someone coming out if you posted. Now, I had 3 people post pictures. So thank you very much to Karen, Karen's your new name, Karen, Shayna, and I also got a message. I've got all the names. I've got your names in my little bucket here. I got a message from Caroline. Hope I said that correctly. So Caroline sent me a message. She'd made a card. Thank you so much for sending me the message, and I actually posted that on her behalf. So if you don't know how to post it in the group, feel free to private message me and send me that message. So I'll be sending a prize out to the person who I draw in a minute. I know what I'm trying to say. Stop picking on me. All right, so I've got my little basket over here, and I'm just going to pull a name out of those 3 people, and it is, who did I get? I got Caroline. Oh, fantastic. That is so cool. All right, Caroline, I'll be sending you a gift during the week. Congratulations. Everybody else, thank you so much for entering the competition, for putting your cards up, and make sure that you enter this week's. Do a card, something like this. Just use one of these techniques and you'll go in the draw to win. And this week, it's no surprise, it will be a stamp chamois. So that's a great prize to win. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, any questions, post them in the comments. I haven't seen any questions, so my internet is probably mucking up. As always, stay safe, keep crafting, and bye for now.